Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Last Scout Radio, broadcasting to you here from rural America along the Missouri-Kansas border, the real gateway to the West. I am your host, Choctaw, the Last Scout, and it is time for Scout's Old Time Radio Hour. Yes, it is. So glad to see all of you on this Wednesday evening. Yes, it is a little bit cold, and all the rumors of my demise over at 24/7 have been greatly exaggerated. It's really simple, folks. All I'm doing is taking a little time off for 3 days to get the animals all fixed up once and for all for winter as it approaches. And we've had a little bit of it, so I've had to take care of them. And I just want to thank Chano for covering for me during that time. It means a lot. And good man, and I do appreciate all of you in the chat room that have been over at 24/7 supporting Chano for the last 2 days. I'm going to take one more day off, and I will be back on Friday morning. And do not forget that this Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern is the debut of PCG Talk with myself and Chano, bringing you some new Patriot music, but bringing you talk like you've probably not used to hearing on our end. So anyway, with that said, let's take a really quick look. JSM, good evening. Red Rob, glad to see you here. Martha Benjamin, Gulf Coast Granny, glad you are here. The Bass Doctor, always a pleasure, sir. Peachy King, good to see you. Chano, my main man, really appreciate it. Big Ed, hey, Big Ed, love you. Missed you the last couple of days. I saw you head off to work this morning, though. You snuck out on me. I was sitting there lurking. Simple Man, good evening, and you know, I just couldn't do it without you. I don't need a lot of people to listen to me. I don't need a lot of people to watch. Oh, and by the way, on November 30th of this year, Last Scout Radio Channel is 2 years old. Yes, I have been working it that long and that hard, trying to do things the right way. And I've covered a lot of areas, wouldn't you agree? Anyway, Pegster6, glad to see you in. Richard Confer, Monkey 1, good evening. And as we pursue along, you are here for some old-time radio, and what I've got for you is very cool tonight. Yes, Bob. When was the last time you heard that one? And so tonight we've got two of them. We got Sam Spade and we have Richard Diamond. And I have to admit that Richard Diamond by Dick Powell is probably my favorite of all the detectives. He's quirky. You'll get a taste of it if you're not familiar with Richard Diamond. So anyway, that's what we got on tap. Sam Spade, of course, and Richard Diamond coming up. Plus, we'll take a break in between so you can recollect yourself, refill that coffee, refill that whatever it is you're drinking, or refill that snack tray. Anyway, it is Scout's Old Time Radio Hour. So glad to have all of you here. Your support for Last Scout Radio has just been incredible, and I can't thank you enough. You've been such a big help. Deploribus Rex, thanks for coming in this evening. Glad to see you. David Melton, good evening. Good evening, one and all. All right, I'm getting the setup right over here just real quick before we dive into Sam Spade. All right, looks like we are good to go. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll have an intermission in between Sam Spade and Richard Diamond. Enjoy. I almost blew it, didn't I? Almost blew it. Let's take a real quick look. The Adventures of Sam Spade Detective was a radio series based loosely on the private detective carrier Sam Spade, created by writer Dashiell Hammett for the Maltese Falcon. The show ran for 13 episodes on ABC in 1946, for 157 episodes on CBS in 1946 through 49, and finally for 51 episodes on NBC in 1949 through 1951. The series starred Howard Duff and later Steve Dunn as Sam Spade and Lorene Tuttle as his secretary Effie, and took a considerably more tongue-in-cheek approach to the character than the novel or movie. The announcer was Dick Joy. The series was largely overseen by producer-director William Spear. In 1947, scriptwriters Jason James and Bob Tallman received an Edgar Award for Best Radio Drama from the Mystery Writers of America. Before the series, Sam Spade had been played in radio adaptations of The Maltese Falcon by both Edward G. Robinson in a 1943 Lux Radio Theater production and by Humphrey Bogart in a 1941 Academy Award Theater production, both on CBS. Dashiell Hammond's name was removed from the series in the late 40s because he was being investigated for involvement with the Communist Party. Later, then, Howard Duff's name appeared in the Red Channel's book. He was not invited to play the role when the series made the switch to NBC in 1950. And so there is a little radio history for you on Sam Spade. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Sam Spade.
The Adventures of Sam Spade, Detective. Brought to you by Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic, the non-alcoholic hair tonic that contains lanolin. Wild Root Cream Oil. Again and again, the choice of men and women and children, too.
Sam Spade Detective Agency.
Quote the Raven, nevermore.
Yes.
This is me.
Is this Mr. Spade?
Yes, but is this Miss Perrine?
Oh, yes, but
Why are you eating your peanut butter sandwich at this time of night?
why the allusion to Poe's Raven? Was your assignment among the literati?
It certainly was. There was Rowena from Ivanhoe, a lost Lenore, a no-place Ralph, and a Horace from the Karloff of the same name.
Oh, how distinguished.
Have you got a cold, F?
No.
Well, then there was a carnivorous plant, a hideous meat-eating specimen of the botanical world, trying to take 2 fingers off me.
Well, I've got 3 fingers all poured out for you here.
Ah, pretty hep. I can see you intend to be terribly amusing tonight. But even so, I intend to come right down and dictate my report on a stopped watch caper or time stood still.
Dashiell Hammett, America's leading detective fiction writer and creator of Sam Spade, the hard-boiled private eye, and William Spear, radio's outstanding producer-director of mystery and crime drama, join their talents to make your hair stand on end with the adventures of Sam Spade. Presented by the makers of Wild Root Cream Oil for the hair. Well, in a few weeks, many of us will be going bareheaded now and then, meaning we'll have to pay more attention than ever to the appearance of our hair. The best way I know to always keep your hair in trim is to use Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic. Wild Root Cream Oil grooms your hair neatly and naturally, removes loose dandruff, and relieves dryness, which may be even more prevalent when your hair is exposed directly to the wind and sun. So right away, get the 25-cent get-acquainted bottle of Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic. Again and again, the choice of men and women and children, too. And now, with Howard Duff starring as Spade, Wild Root brings to the air the greatest private detective of them all in the adventures of Sam Spade.
I'm looking over
That's a mighty sharp routine you give a Perrine on the phone.
Where's Effie? Who are you?
Sam, don't you remember me? Buffy.
Certainly not. I never saw... Buffy, wait a minute. Do I sense a certain family resemblance? No, you can't be Effie's little sister, Buffy.
Yes.
Big girl now.
But thanks anyway for the tinker toys you sent me last Christmas.
I'd kill myself.
I intend to start having children of my own just as soon as it's practical.
Where's F, Buff?
She had to go to L.A. to visit a sick friend.
A likely story.
No, really.
Chapter and verse, please.
St. Joseph's Hospital in Burbank. They went to school together, and her name is Lorene Tuttle. She's an actress.
Yes, I know her. A very fine actress. Is it serious?
I hope not for Effie's sake. They're very close.
Yeah. Well, what now? You take shorthand, Buff?
Sort of.
Spoken like a true Perrine. Come on in.
Well, I hope it's good and gruesome.
I take it back.
I meant the caper, not what you're drinking.
Okay, Buff, you win. Ready?
Why not?
Date April 10, 1949 to Deputy Sheriff Bill Whittington, Marin County Sheriff's Office, San Rafael, California, from Samuel Spade, license number...
37596.
Oh, steady listener. Subject, the stopped watch caper. Dear Bill, here's how it turned out, and if I ever phone you for advice again, I'll take it because you were right. She was loaded.
What about those threatening letters, Sam? Don't give 'em another thought. Old Lady Raven's had me up there a dozen times the last 6 weeks. She got threatening letters, she got prowlers, but when I got there, she can't find the letters, and the way that house is tucked away in the woods, I don't think a prowler could find it.
How do I find it, Bill?
Huh? Well, the Gray Line bus goes right by the gate. Montana Palisades Road, about 3 miles this side of Rock Spring.
Oh, that sounds pretty rugged. You, say she's a crank.
But she's got money, Sam.
Oh, the poor old soul.
And she got a niece.
Oh?
Yeah, over 23, but she's stacked.
The old lady's loaded, the niece is stacked. Who else lives there?
Well, there's a butler. Somebody flattened his head when he was young, and he wears bangs to call attention to it. Sort of shuffles around the house. You ought to see him out in the woods chasing them old ground squirrels. Quick as a deer hound. Yeah, and
Never mind. You sold me. All these marvels I have got to see. It was only 3 p.m. when I skulked in through the gates of Ravenswood, but it was so dark the hooty owls hadn't gone to bed yet. The fog snaked in and out through the dripping trees, long, chill ribbons of ghastly fog borne on a sobbing wind. I mushed on into the deepening gloom of the forest primeval. After 10 minutes of that, I began to wonder if there was any house there. When I saw it, I still wondered. It looked more like a fungus growth.
Yes?
Speak of the English?
It is chilly, isn't it, sir? Won't you come in?
Sure, why not? Yes, I expected that.
If you'll be so kind as to wait here, sir, I'll inform Miss Rowena of your arrival.
Thank you, Jenny Stewart.
Boris, who's out there? Is it the man with the hemlock? Answer me, you brute. Oh. Where is it?
Did you say hemlock?
Oh, you must be my aunt's detective. Spade, was it?
It is, right.
I'm Ralph Raven. Come along with me, Spade. I have something interesting to show you.
Ralph Raven was the one member of the household you hadn't described to me, and no wonder. The wasted figure that looked up at me from the wheelchair was more like a ghost than a man. His face was chalk white. So white it seemed almost luminous, and the skin clung so close to his skull there seemed to be no flesh beneath it. And his wide, staring eyes looked like 2 cups of black coffee on a snow-white tablecloth. I followed him into a glass-enclosed room only slightly larger than the garden court at the plaza. The humidity was several points higher than the dripping woods, and the temperature was several degrees lower. But the plants he had growing there seemed to thrive on it. As I edged nervously through the dense, quivering foliage, I noticed a strange-looking yellow-green pod, about the size of a milk bottle at the end of a long, tubular stem. It leaned over, opened its red mouth, and said... Hey, what is that thing?
Oh, that's my Sarracenia gigantosa. Meat eater. Carnivorous plant. Don't be frightened. I just fed it.
Don't tell me.
You know what it eats?
Acts like it needs a dose of bicarb.
No, perfectly healthy. Merely part of the digestive process, even as you and I.
Not me.
But over here, you're a detective. These plants should interest you. Oh, don't touch that mandrake.
Never thought of it.
It won't cry out. No vocal cords.
Oh, I see.
It's very sensitive.
Oh, sensitive.
And deadly poison.
Oh.
And see here, these pretty purple blossoms?
Yes, very pretty.
Source of an alkaloid poison favored by the Borgias. And these, white hellebore.
Watch your language.
I use it in compounding veratria, a poison so ancient it would probably go undetected in the police laboratories of today.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a charming one, both a killer and a medicine. Belladonna, or deadly nightshade, source of atropine.
Mm-hmm.
And this, commonly known as Nux vomica,
Well,
produces not 1 but 2 deadly poisons. The well-known strychnine and the rare and not easily detectable brucine.
yeah, well, it's quite a hobby, Mr.
Oh,
Raven.
it's not a mere hobby, Mr. Spade. It's a practical science. All the plants in this conservatory have their fatal properties, and all have played a role in the great crimes of history. Did my aunt get another threatening letter?
So she says.
Odd that she should fear death at her age, and odd that she should hire a bodyguard. How does she know how it'll come? It might be poison.
Speaking of poison, brother dear, it's time for your medicine.
Oh, Spade, my sister, the lost Lenore.
How do you do, Mr. Spade?
How do you do?
Here, Ralph, drink up.
Why does it always have to be in milk? Hey, look here, it's not time anyway. Oh, this confounded watch has stopped again. Spade, what time do you have?
Why, it's 3, that's funny. My watch has stopped, too. I didn't know then what that meant. In fact, if you look on the last page of this report, Deputy dear, you'll see that the stopwatch was the key to the whole puzzle. I protest that my failure to realize its significance at that moment had absolutely nothing to do with the fact that my client's niece, Lenore Raven, was, as you so roguishly put it, stacked. About there, Boris, the butler, bobbed up and beckoned me from the balustrade. I followed him upstairs and was ushered into the austere and regal presence of my client, Rowena Raven.
That will be all, Boris.
Yes, madam.
Oh, Boris, I just remembered.
Yes, madam.
There on the occasional table, my watch. I want you to take it around to the watchmakers in the morning. It's on the fritz again.
Yes, madam.
Mr. Spade, I must apologize for keeping you waiting.
Oh, it's all right.
My watch hasn't been keeping proper time ever since those threatening letters started. Could that be a clue, Mr. Spade?
Maybe we'd better start with the letters, Mrs. Raven.
I can't find them anywhere. I think that young man from the sheriff's office must have pinched him.
Bill Whittington? Oh, I'm sure not.
Well, all the same, it's very odd that every time he comes here, he can't find them.
Where did you put them, Mrs. Raven?
Right there on the occasional table.
Yeah, well, Mrs. Raven, sometimes people have very vivid dreams.
Huh?
Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with their minds or anything like that.
You talk just like Dr. Slosser. That young sawbones my niece sent around looked at my sciatica. Sciatica is nothing but a pain. How can you look at it? It's a lot of bull.
Yeah. What did the letters say, Mrs. Raven?
That's why I wondered about my watch, Mr. Spade. The letters always contain some reference to time. Your time is running out. Beware when time moves slowly. Soon it may stop altogether.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of thing. You think there could be a connection? I mean, has someone been tampering with my watch? The repairman doesn't know what's causing it to lose.
Yeah, did he think it might have been tampered with?
No. He thought it was something in the mountain. Magnetism or something.
Well, that sounds logical.
That's
Now,
a lot of hooey. I lived here 40 years, and my watch never lost a minute. Something in the mountain, my eye. Something in this house, more like, or somebody. You ask me, he's not half so sick as he pretends to be.
Your nephew?
Uh-huh. What do you think?
Well, I think he's a very sick man.
No wonder. Sitting in that damp conservatory day after day, pottering over those fiendish poisonous plants. You see the one that eats mice and hamburgers?
Yes, I did. What's supposed to be the matter with your nephew, Mrs. Raven?
Oh, he was in an auto accident. Injured his neck. They had to remove part of a gland or something.
His neck.
But Dr. Slosser says he's in good condition aside from that. And if he takes his medicine faithfully, there's no reason why he shouldn't. Come in!
Ah, Mrs. Raven, how is that pain this afternoon?
Worse. Thank you. Dr. Slosser, this is Mr. Spade.
Ah, yes. The detective you engaged to investigate those letters you've been receiving.
Mr. Spade thinks it's an inside job. Don't you, Mr. Spade?
Well, that depends on what you mean by an inside
There,
job.
you see?
Inside that romantic imagination of yours, my dear lady. Hold still now while I
Oh.
give you your shot.
I loathe being jabbed.
Now.
Oh.
That wasn't so bad, was it?
Can I look now?
How is Ralph getting on, Doctor?
Not well, I'm afraid. He doesn't seem to be responding to the...
Oh.
Mrs. Raven, what is it?
Poison. You poisoned me.
The cry she uttered was only half as terrible as the expression on her pain-contorted face. She pitched forward in her chair with both fists clenched and shaking as if in anger at the doctor standing before her. He put down the empty hypodermic on the occasional table.
Yeah. Help me carry her to the couch.
Yeah, sure.
Take away that pillow. She must lie perfectly flat. There. That's better now. She's relaxing.
I'm dying. There was poison in that needle.
Please, Mrs. Raven, it was only sedative to make you sleep.
Sleep. Sleep. The time is running out.
The poor woman. Malignant condition. Only a matter of time.
Does she know?
That she has only a short time to live? Oh, yes. Well, I have another call. Do you have the time my watch seems to have stopped?
Another one.
I beg your pardon.
Nothing. I left my watch at home.
Oh, well,
Ludwig, something terrible is happening.
Your aunt is sleeping.
You'd better come down to the conservatory right away. Ralph is in terrible pain.
What kind of pain?
He keeps saying he's been poisoned.
What? Well, come along. Take that hypo to the kitchen door and sterilize it.
Where is it?
On the table there.
He stopped in his tracks. His mouth fell open, and he gaped at the tabletop where he put down the hypodermic. In its place, it appeared two items. An old-fashioned lady's watch and a note written in green ink. The note said, "Time must have a stop." I picked up the watch and held it to my ear. You guessed it. It wasn't ticking. I had a hunch my client wasn't either. And I was right.
The makers of Wild Root Cream Oil are presenting the weekly Sunday adventure of Dashiell Hammett's famous private detective, Sam Spade. Now, here's important news on good grooming. If you want the well-groomed look that helps you get ahead, socially and on the job, listen. Recently, thousands of people from coast to coast who bought Wild Root Cream Oil for the first time were asked, how does Wild Root Cream Oil compare with the hair tonic you previously used? The results were amazing. Better than 4 out of 5 who replied said they preferred Wild Root Cream Oil. Remember, non-alcoholic Wild Root Cream Oil contains lanolin. It grooms the hair naturally, relieves dryness, and removes loose, ugly dandruff. So if you want your hair to be more attractive than ever before, get the generous new 25-cent size of Wild Root Cream Oil, America's leading hair tonic, on sale at all drug and toilet goods counters. It's also available in larger economy bottles and the handy new tube. By the way, smart girls use Wild Root Cream Oil, too, and mothers say it's grand for training children's hair. Get Wild Root Cream Oil. Again and again, the choice of men and women and children, too. And now, back to the stopped watch caper. Tonight's adventure with Sam Spade.
Ralph? Ralph, where are you?
Where did you leave me?
Hey, wait. Over here.
Oh, Spade. Keep them away from me.
Ralph, I came as soon as I could. Tell me your symptoms.
No. I phoned for another doctor. He's on his way now. Spade, my aunt. Take me to her. I must tell her.
Tell her what?
I'm afraid we have some bad news for you, Ralph. Your aunt is dead.
Oh, so you poisoned her, too.
Ralph, you're sick. You don't know what you're saying. She's been to every specialist in the country. They all said the same thing.
They all said she was good for another 3 months.
My dear boy, in these cases, any doctor's guess is as bad as the next.
No.
Please, Ralph, you're very sick. Please let Ludwig examine you. If it's what you think, the other doctor may be too late.
Why not? Why should I fear death?
That's better. Now let me see your eyes. So. Open the mouth. So.
What is it? What is it?
He's right. It is poison.
You see?
You know, my dear.
Yes?
When you sterilized that needle for Ralph's shot this morning, did you pick up the wrong bottle?
Of course not.
Strange. It's very strange. But don't worry, Ralph. There's a very simple antidote.
Oh, thank heaven.
You should, my dear. Indeed, you should.
And that was that, Deputy dear. 2 doctors and the county coroner took one look at my late client's medical history and decided on death due to natural causes. I didn't think so, and neither did you.
So there really were threatening letters.
I saw one.
You sure now, Sam?
Sure, I'm sure.
Where'd you say it was?
On the occasional table.
Yeah. What was it doing when it wasn't a table?
Not occasionally, occasional.
Oh, just any old table.
No, Bill. Now, Bill, get this. It's real deep. An occasional table is a table that a woman picks up at a bargain and puts into a room under the mistaken impression that it may come in handy someday. Mrs. Raven used hers as a catch-all for her unanswered correspondence, threatening letters included.
And what happened to the one you saw?
I don't know. I put it right here in my coat pocket along with a watch. It just disappeared.
Well, that might be tampering with evidence.
Listen, Bill, things were disappearing from that table almost as fast as other things showed up.
Yeah, sounds like pack rat.
You follow that up, Bill. I'm going to pack up and rat out of here.
Now look, Sam.
My client's dead. It's officially okay. I haven't made a penny out of the caper, and now I'm not likely to. So, do you give me a lift back to the toll gate, or do I hitchhike?
There's your answer. Come on.
When we reached the second bedroom, whence the scream had come, we found the lost Lenore looking well found and something comfortable. She standing center stage, regarding herself with horror in a full-length mirror. She looks awful pale, Bill. You better go downstairs and get some ice water. She might faint.
You think so?
Yeah, hurry up. I'll stay here and keep up her circulation in case anything happens.
Yeah, you're right.
Beat it.
Oh, it's you, Sam. I thought...
You thought what?
Look, I found these on my pillow.
One watch, one threatening letter. Whose watch?
Mine. I left it on the dressing table when I went in to cream my face. When I came out, somebody had slipped this under.
On the dressing table?
No, under my pillow.
You said on your pillow.
I meant under. I mean on. I don't know what I mean. What are you trying to do to me?
Just trying to get things straight.
But the note, look at it. It's exactly the same as the one he left in my aunt's room.
Why do you say he?
Oh, I don't know. Yes, I do. It's because I don't trust Ludwig. Dr. Schlosser.
That figures. He doesn't trust you either.
When he pretended to think I might have picked up the wrong bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he was acting. Couldn't you see?
You're not doing a bad job yourself.
I'm not acting, not anymore. Listen to me. Listen, he's acted strangely ever since I foolishly said I'd marry him.
I would myself.
Oh, Sam, darling, don't joke. I don't mean like that.
How did you meet him?
He got me out of a jam once. The accident, when my brother was hurt. I went for a doctor, and he happened to be the nearest one. Well, I'd been drinking, and he took over, and he sent me home before the police arrived at the scene.
Didn't Ralph know?
He blanked out. He doesn't know to this day. But Ludwig never forgot. He forced me to recommend him to my aunt. He got into her good graces, practically moved into the house. Then he pretended to make love to me.
Pretended?
He didn't care about me till he found out about my aunt didn't have long to live. He knew half her money would come to me. Sam, do you think he poisoned my aunt?
Officially, she died from natural causes.
But you said she spoke about being poisoned. And Ralph, too.
What's that medicine you give him in milk?
I don't know. It's a prescription, just some drops that come in a metal container.
Where do you keep those drops?
Here in my room. I have to hide them. They make Ralph feel so much better. He used to overdose when the doctor trusted him to dose himself.
Let me see that medicine.
It's just here in this cabinet. Here it is. It's
Don't tell me. It's empty.
There was a glass bottle inside the container.
Small but heavy. Lead yet. Hey, what are you doing with that gadget? The thing with the dials and the speedometer.
Oh, that's something medical. I have to make a test on Ralph every day to see how he's getting along.
Do you know what that actually is?
Yes, I do. It detects anemia.
Well, I wouldn't know about that, but a Geiger counter is generally used to detect something else.
Well, what are you going to do with it?
I'm going prospecting for that missing medicine.
Ah, there you are. I've been looking everywhere for you. I'm afraid I have bad news for you, Lenore.
Ralph?
My diagnosis was correct. Pernicious anemia.
Dead.
What is that you are carrying, Mr. Spade?
Oh, nothing special, Doctor. Just an old Geiger counter.
Lenore, did you let him take it?
He said he was going to use it to find Ralph's medicine.
What happened to Ralph's medicine?
I don't know. It's just gone.
Mr. Spade, that machinery is my property. I must ask you to hand it over.
No gun necessary, Doctor. Here, take it.
Take your gun, too, sir. Lenore, carry the machine this way. Walk ahead of us. First, we try the conservatory.
He was an amateur with a gun, but I didn't jump him for it because I'm an amateur with a Geiger. I did notice that the indicator on the dial got nervous the minute we walked into the conservatory. Ralph Raven's body was still in the wheelchair, no paler in death than in life. His sightless eyes were fixed on that obscene plant. The plant looked sick, too. It was drooping, and his red mouth was hanging open. As we walked past the wheelchair, the indicator on the dial of the Geiger counter moved forward and then slipped back again. Then it took a sudden big jump.
Ah, so that was his hiding place. The maw of that disgusting carnivorous plant. Well, it's not pleasant, but there's only one way to get it. Don't move, either one of you. My eye is on you. Ah, yes. Yes, it's here.
At first, I thought the plant had bitten him. But then he pulled his hand out, and I saw what had happened. There was a hypodermic outfit stuck in the heel of his hand. It surprised him no end, but he still managed to hold on to that gun. He swung it away from me and was holding it on Lenora.
You knew?
No, I didn't.
You must have. Ralph knew. He must have told you.
No, I swear he didn't.
What do you think I did this for? To die and leave you behind? To enjoy the money I got for you? No, you will come with me.
Oh, no, you don't know what you're doing. There's someone right...
Shut up.
What are you looking at? What's behind me?
Don't bother to rush him, Sam. I've got it.
Hold it, Bill.
Yeah. How's that for shooting, Sam?
Yeah. You find a bullet hole in him, Bill, and I'll call it good. And that, deputy dear, is the crop. And it's all carnivorous. In case you're still wondering what dropped him when your shots missed, it was the poison in that hypodermic needle which Ralph had planted there for that very purpose and then baited the trap for the all-important missing medicine. Later on, I learned that what the doctor had been feeding him was the right medicine for what ailed him, an isotope of iodine. It seems it's radioactive like uranium, but if you take too much of it, you die. Not of poisoning, but of pernicious anemia, which is how the doctor planned for Ralph to die. It also magnetizes watches so they don't keep the right time. And if they're cheap ones, like mine, they may stop altogether. Period, and a report. Got all that, Buffy?
I got it, Sam, but I don't get it.
Buffy, people have studied all their lives to learn about atomic stuff like isotopes, and you expect me to teach you everything in one easy lesson.
Oh, no, Sam, I know about that. But who killed who?
Whom, dear? The doctor killed everyone, but Ralph loaded the needle.
And they were accomplices?
No, Buff, get this. It's real shallow. Ralph knew there was no way in the world to prove that the doctor was killing him and hastening his aunt's demise, so he saw to it that she got a dose of detectable poison and did himself the same favor. Oh. Now, like a good girl, go type that up,
And now, listen to this. More and more millions agree every day. Wild Root Cream Oil has become America's favorite hair tonic because of the neat, natural way it grooms the hair. Because of the quick, easy way it relieves dryness and removes loose dandruff. Get non-alcoholic Wild Root Cream Oil with lanolin right away. And ask your barber for a professional application of Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic. Again and again, the choice of men and women and children, too.
I hope that butler was brought to justice.
What for, his dialect?
Oh, for helping to deliver the threatening letters and then stealing off the occasional table.
A brilliant deduction. How did you deduce?
Sam, that's for kids. If Ralph was too ill to walk, then somebody had to push him upstairs in the wheelchair.
Now, wouldn't it have been easier just to carry him?
That's how he did it?
Or just go up himself?
That's how.
Possibly, and then again, we may never know. But do we care?
Yes. I hate loose ends, Sam.
Then keep it up.
Good night, Sam.
Looking like a true Perrine, so I'll say to you, good night, sweetheart.
The Adventures of Sam Spade, Dashiell Hammett's famous private detective, are produced and directed by William Spear. Sam Spade is played by Howard Duff. The Adventures of Sam Spade are written for radio by Bob Tallman and Gil Dowd. Musical direction by Lud Gluskin, with score composed by Renee and Pierre Garrigan. Join us again next Sunday when author Dashiell Hammett and producer William Spear join forces for another adventure with Sam Spade. Brought to you by Wild Root Cream Oil. Again and again, the choice of men and women and children, too. This is Dick Joy reminding you to get Wild Root Cream Oil, Charlie. It keeps your hair in trim. You see, it's non-alcoholic, Charlie. It's made with soothing lanolin. You better get Wild Root Cream Oil, Charlie. Start using it today. You'll find that you will have a tough time, Charlie. Keeping all the gals away. Hiya, Baldy. Get Wild Root right away. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
All right, well, there we have the first of our doubleheader tonight of Private Eyes. Private investigators, gumshoes, whatever you want to call them. That was Sam Spade. And coming up here after our intermission will be Dick Powell as Richard Diamond. And let's see, Victor, good to see you this evening. Point Man and Mr. T, welcome, sir. Glad you are here, or ma'am, whichever the case may be. Oildale Joe, glad to see you this evening. Pegster 6 is with us, along with Dahlia Olive and just a whole host of other great people. And don't forget Richard Comfort, too. Big Ed, great stuff. Didn't expect this. Hey, I never know what's going to happen, right? I never really know how it's going to play out. But anyway, let's go ahead and go to break, and we will return shortly with the second half. Well, bar any little technical difficulties, hold on one second. Let us see. Things do happen when you're doing live radio.
Light up a Cremo, a mellow, mild Cremo, a winning smoke by far. You can search every clime, but at 3 for a dime, you can't beat a Cremo cigar. But at 3 for a dime, you can't beat the Cremo cigar. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Sweet-Scented Cigar Smoking Society. This is Arthur Godfrey down in Washington, D.C. Mike Mayen Godfrey, Cremo's capricious custodian of the calorific cantata.
Dr. Weird's mystery will be continued shortly. Say, by the way, Doctor, is mystery your sole pleasure?
Young man, what could be more pleasant than mystery?
Well, music, for instance. That's
music. Why, of course. Have you ever heard my clanking of chains?
Doctor, I'm afraid you've got me wrong. I mean the kind of music men hum or whistle when they feel on top of the world. And, gentlemen, one of the many things that give you that tip-top feeling is the pleasure of being well-dressed. Perfect taste is a criterion, and in hats, there's nothing smarter than an Adam. From stem to stern, your Adam hat gives off that look of quality. You see quality in the carefully molded shape, and in the richness of the genuine all-fur felt, and in the subtle color shade. Next time you pass an Adam hat store or authorized dealer, stop in and try on an Adam. Once you see and wear an Adam hat, you'll agree that today, as before, Adam is one of America's outstanding hat values. Now, the good Dr. Weird.
Friends, it's so foolish to suffer with an ordinary headache when Bromo Seltzer gives you such fast, pleasant, three-way relief.
It's true, Mr. Weed. Bromo Seltzer is so pleasant to take, and it works so fast to help your headache all three ways.
Yes, Bromo Seltzer speedily fights the headache pain itself. Then it goes right to work to soothe the upset stomach and jangled nerves that often may team up with a headache. Try it next time you get a headache. Prove to yourself just how fast it works to help your headache all three ways.
We've tried a lot of headache products, but it's Bromo Seltzer from now on for our family.
You'll say the same thing, too, once you've discovered Bromo Seltzer. So get a bottle today and be prepared at all times to fight a headache fast all three ways.
It's smart to keep Bromo Seltzer both at home and at your place of business.
That's right, folks. Remember, Bromo Seltzer gives you fast three-way help for a headache. It's on sale at all drugstores. Caution, use only as directed. If headaches recur or persist, see your doctor. Get Bromo Seltzer today and...
Our free podcast is made possible by contributions to Stardate and your local radio station. Please visit stardate.org to make a donation or to subscribe to our paid same-day premium audio content. Stardate, November 13th. The brilliant morning star has a bright companion for the next few days. Tomorrow they'll be separated by only about 1 degree, less than the width of your finger held at arm's length. And they'll stay within a finger width of each other for about a week. The morning star is Venus, our closest planetary neighbor. It's low in the east-southeast at first light. It's the brightest object in the night sky other than the moon, so you can't miss it. Its companion is the star Spica, the leading light of the constellation Virgo. It's among the 20 brightest stars visible from Earth. Yet it's only about 0.5% as bright as Venus. The difference is a matter of distance. Venus is our closest planetary neighbor, just a few light minutes away. It shines by reflecting sunlight into space. Spica, on the other hand, is a true star, and a truly impressive one at that. It's far bigger, heavier, and brighter than the sun. That makes it easy to see, even though it's about 250 light years from Earth. Millions of years from now, Spica will shine even brighter. It'll explode as a supernova. For a few weeks, it'll outshine billions of normal stars. As seen from Earth, it'll even outshine Venus, making it visible even in the daytime sky. For now, look for Spica to the upper right of Venus, beginning a couple of hours before sunrise. They'll stay close for a while before Venus begins to slide away from its bright companion. Stardate and Stardate Magazine are productions of the University of Texas at Austin, McDonald Observatory. I'm Sandy Wood.
And welcome back to Scout's Old Time Radio Hour. You will find a bunch of links listed below, with stardate.org being one of them, and many other things to check out. Music, just have to go take a look for yourself. Have to take that dive off the ledge. Anyway, good evening, everyone. We have concluded with Sam Spade, and now we are moving on to one of my favorite detectives, without a doubt, and that is Richard Diamond, and it is played by actor Dick Powell. Now, let's take a real quick look at the radio history, which is very short. Let's see. Richard Diamond, Private Detective, is an American detective drama created by Blake Edwards, which aired on radio from 1949 to 1953 and on television from 1957 to 1960. Shortly before his death in 2004, actor-comedian Alan King wrote a pair of short stories about the character set in 1948. They were published posthumously in 2016. For the radio version, Dick Powell starred in the Richard Diamond Private Detective radio series as a lighthearted detective who often ended the episodes singing to his girlfriend, Helen Asher, Virginia Gregg. Other regular cast members include Rick's friend and former partner on the police force, Lieutenant Walter Levinson, played variously by Ed Begley, Arthur Q. Bryan, Ted DeCorsia, and Alan Reed, and Williams Herbert as Walt's bumbling sergeant. Otis Herbert also doubled on the show as Helen Butler Francis. It began airing on NBC Radio on April 24, 1949, picked up Rexall as a sponsor in April 5, 1950, and continued until December 6, 1950. Many of the shows were either written or directed by Edwards. Its theme, Leave It to Love, was whistled by Powell at the beginning of each episode. With Camel Cigarettes as a sponsor, it moved to ABC from January 5, 1951 to June 29, 1951, with Rexall returning for a run from October 5, 1951 until June 27, 1952. Substituting for Amos and Andy, it aired Sunday evenings on CBS, again for Rexall from May 31, 1953 until September 20th, 1953. So there you have just a brief little radio history of the radio show Richard Diamond, Private Detective. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The man himself, Dick Powell, as Richard Diamond.
Makers of Camel Cigarettes present Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, private detective. What cigarette do you smoke, Doctor?
That question was asked of doctors in every branch of medicine, doctors in all parts of the country.
What cigarette do you smoke, Doctor?
The brand named most was Camel. Yes, according to this recent nationwide survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
Make your own Camel 30-day test, the sensible cigarette test, and see how mild, how flavorful, how thoroughly enjoyable Camels are. Here transcribed is Richard Diamond, private detective, starring Dick Powell.
Yes? Oh, Mr. Diamond, come in, sir.
Well, thank you, Francis. How's the Patsy Einstein tonight?
Oh, my goodness, sir. That was a dandy.
Oh, you like that, huh?
Oh, yes, sir.
Well, chuckle along and tell Miss Asher Sweet and Frostbitten is downstairs.
Right away, sir.
I'll be in the study.
Yes, sir.
The snow is snowing. The wind is blowing. But I can weather the storm. Why do I care how much it may storm? I've got my love to keep me warm.
Hi.
Hi. What's new?
Nothing with me. I want to know about you.
Nothing much with me either, honey.
What have you been doing for the last couple of days?
Case.
Oh.
Got a nice big fat retainer.
Oh.
Yeah, oh. Look at the eyes light up.
Well, I'm happy for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't want your money.
But now that I'm independently wealthy, you figure you don't have to feed me anymore.
Rick.
Don't have to take me to any more shows. Take me to an occasional chocolate malt.
Oh, don't be silly. You know I don't want
Just because I made a couple of $100.
Couple of $100?
Stop kissing my hand.
Rick. You idiot.
I have tickets to the ballet tomorrow night. 21 after the show.
Oh, Rick.
Afterwards, we neck.
I love you.
Of course. Now, I suppose you want to hear all about the case.
Well, not unless you want to.
Well, as long as it's
If
optional.
you're too tired, some other time.
It all started 3 days ago.
You don't really have to. I can hear about it any
I
time.
was sitting in my office.
You don't have to put yourself
Oh,
up.
shut up, woman. As I was saying, the whole thing started 3 days ago. I was sitting in my office reading Gaylord Hauser and soaking my feet in a tub of Blackstrap molasses when the door opened and then walked 6 feet of mink cape wrapped around 5.5 feet of what little girls are made of. I remember thinking about the sugar and spice and everything nice, and even with the mink cape covering most of it, I decided that this little girl could have given a bee farm a nervous breakdown.
Mr. Diamond,
You have been reading the sign on the door.
I'd like to hire you.
Well, I'd like you to. I'll charge $100 a day in expenses.
I want protection.
From what?
My husband.
What's the matter? Can't he stand the pace?
He's getting out of prison at 5 o'clock this afternoon, and he's threatened to make trouble.
I think you better tell him the whole thing, Miss...
Connors. Marilyn Connors.
Okay. Who's your husband?
His name's Joe Connors.
Oh.
You know him?
Helped send him up 10 years ago. Armed robbery, wasn't it?
Yes. He hasn't served all of his time, but he's being paroled.
Go ahead.
Well, since Joe was sent up, I had to find work. A man Joe used to work for gave me a job in his club.
Martin Cole?
Yes. Do you know him?
Slightly. We're hating acquaintances.
Mr. Cope has been very wonderful to me.
I'm sure he has.
I don't think I like that.
Your husband doesn't either, huh?
You're very blunt, aren't you?
Like the front of a streetcar. I don't like your boss, and I don't like your husband. I think it's better that you know now before you make any investments and then have to fire me.
You're the best private detective in New York.
Only because I'm brilliant, shrewd, and loaded with talent.
And a little ridiculous.
Oh, sure. Add that on and just think what you're getting for a lousy $100 a day in expenses.
Even though you don't like Joe and Mr. Cope, you'll still take the job?
Look, Mrs. Connors, I've been honest with you about your husband and Cope. I never let personalities interfere in my business. A job's a job. Besides, I'm starving to death. She gave me a slow smile, complete with a high fever, handed me a retainer, and swayed out of the office like Mata Hari leading an atomic research stag party. We agreed to meet again at 4 o'clock, so I spent the next hour on the roof, relaxing in 3 feet of snow, and around 4 o'clock, walked my frozen blood pressure down to Martin Cope's nightclub, the only king-size safe decorated by Bergdorf Goodman, complete with an intellectual piano player, a $15 minimum, and enough intrigue to make a centered investigation look like a taffy pole. The girl who had been to my office earlier was standing on the edge of the empty dance floor rehearsing a song while the piano player was trying his best to overdo the accompaniment. I grabbed a chair and sat down to listen.
Something wrong?
Look, if you'd like to do a single, why don't you say so?
You're unhappy?
When you're playing for me, I would appreciate it if you just backed me up quietly, simply. Stop hating art painting.
Darling, I'd be happy to do anything you say, except for one question.
Yes?
You can't sing.
Why, you anemic excuse for a musician. You couldn't get a song right if you ran it through a player piano.
Temper, darling.
You listen to me, Bernie. I've put up with you for a long time.
You put up with me?
Yes, with you.
Oh.
I've let you mess me up night after night.
You did that all by your little lonesome, honey.
You just better remember who's paying your bills, honey. I get out here and break my neck to try and give a good show. Don't you get cute with me. You better wise up, Buster, or you're going to end up playing for your meals down on Skid Row. No, Bernie,
They kept going round and round. And about the time the piano player looked like he might possibly throw caution to the wind and stamp his foot, a door opened at the other side of the room, and Martin Cope, big-time gambler and owner of the club, walked over to the piano.
Look, if you two insist on raising a roof, take it to the back room where nobody can hear you.
I'm sorry, Martin, but Bernie just won't...
Mr. Cope, I can assure you that it wasn't...
You stay out of this.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You two can kick the walls in when I'm not in my office, but honey, when I've got work to
It
do...
won't happen again. What's the matter?
Who's that?
Who?
Sitting over there.
Well, I'm surprised, Cope. I thought you'd spot my blue eyes.
Oh, it's Mr. Diamond.
Diamond?
Yes, he says you know each other.
Diamond, a private detective?
Sure. You remember, Cope, all those times down at the precinct, playing 20 questions?
What are you doing here?
I got tired of talking to nice people.
Beat it.
I asked Mr. Diamond here, Martin.
You did?
Well, I know you're not worried about Joe, but I am.
You had this two-bit Gumshoes?
Temper.
Mr. Diamond's supposed to be the best private detective in the business.
Says who?
Well, I did mention it a few hundred times.
Did Sloan put you up to this, honey?
Martin, with Joe getting out this
I
afternoon...
told you not to worry about Joe. Did Sloan tell you to hire yourself a bodyguard?
I thought it would be a good idea.
He did, huh? Everybody's got a good idea. Nobody thinks I know what I'm doing. I just happen to run the place.
Sloan was thinking about you, Martin.
Yeah? Well, I'll give him something to really think about.
Now, Martin...
Now I'm tired of the whole mess. Everybody's scared stiff of a two-bit punk who's getting out of stir. Hiring an ex-cop who couldn't protect an old lady from a Boy Scout.
Have you been tested for rabies lately?
Look, Diamond.
Martin, I'm afraid of what Joe might do.
Oh, but hiring a private cop, and to top it off, you gotta pick this one.
Look, Mrs. Connors, I don't want to cause a lot of trouble.
Well, you're trying real hard.
Maybe you'd better just take your retainer and we'll forget the whole thing.
That is the only bright thing you've ever come up with, Mr. Diamond.
How about it, Mrs. Connors?
Well, you keep the retainer, Mr. Diamond, but maybe under the circumstances it would be better...
Sure, keep the money, Diamond. Go buy yourself a new joke book.
I don't want it. But I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll donate it to your restaurant's hospital fund, Cope.
We haven't got one.
That's the trouble with you, Cope. No vision. You should always have a little insurance in case of a bad accident. I left the club with Martin Cope stretched out on the dance floor and Marilyn Connors looking too startled to say much. Bernie, the piano player, accompanied my exit with a fast course of the funeral march, and I headed for my quiet little apartment. I napped for the rest of the afternoon, and by 8 o'clock I was appropriately dressed in my best blue suit. The other one being a casual sienna and suitable only for badminton and runyon hunting. I had paused to admire myself, surreptitiously humming a few bars of Temptation when, Yeah?
Richard Diamond?
Depends on who wants him.
My name's Sloan, William Sloan.
Oh, I'm Diamond. What can I do for you?
I'm here because Miss Marilyn Connors asked me to come by and talk to you.
Well, come in.
Thank you.
I believe Martin Cope mentioned your name earlier this afternoon.
In all probability, he did. I'm Mr. Cope's attorney.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
Cope seemed a little unhappy with you, Sloan.
That was because I suggested that Marilyn hire herself a private detective.
I gathered as much.
I picked you because of your reputation. I had no way of knowing that Martin didn't like you.
Why are you here, Mr. Sloan?
To ask you to go back on the job. Protect Marilyn until we're sure that her husband is not going to cause trouble.
I'd like to know something, Mr. Sloan. Why do you expect Marilyn's husband to cause trouble?
Isn't it obvious?
Maybe I'm a little dense.
Why, Marilyn and Martin Cope have been in love since Joe Connors was sent to prison.
You think that's enough to make Joe Connors try something?
Well, it goes a little deeper than that.
How deep?
Joe Connors used to work for Martin.
Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. I'm beginning to remember. Joe Connors swore Cope had him framed.
That's correct. He swore that when he got out, he'd get him.
Well, it's a little tough under the circumstances. It'll just cause another argument between Cope and Marilyn if I show up again. Why don't you get yourself another boy? A lot of good private detectives in New York.
Because you'd be about the only one who wouldn't be afraid of Martin. And Marilyn has a great respect for you.
Even after I belted her boyfriend?
Well, I think that convinced her you were the one for the job.
Joe Connors got out this afternoon, didn't he?
That's right, at 4:30.
Where's Mrs. Connors?
At the club.
Well, if I go down there, there's going to be more trouble.
Martin went out about an hour ago. That's why we want you to come down. Martin got a phone call. He seemed worried. Marilyn was in the office with him. She said that when he left, he didn't say where he was going, but
he took his gun with him. Sloan and I went downstairs, climbed into his car, and headed for Martin Cope's nightclub. When we went in, Marilyn Connors was on stage. So we went to the back of the building and sat down in her dressing room. About 10 minutes later, Marilyn came in. She was wearing something thin enough to make a silkworm commit a hara-kiri.
Hello, William. Mr. Diamond, I'm so glad you reconsidered.
I think we both reconsidered, didn't we?
Has Martin come back yet?
I'll go see. I'll be right back.
I'm worried, Mr. Diamond.
How long ago did Cope leave?
About half an hour before I went on. If you'll excuse me, I have to take off my makeup.
Oh, sure, go right ahead.
He's back.
Martin?
Yes, and I'm sure something's happened. He's worried sick about something.
I'll go see him.
Mrs. Connors.
Yes?
Do you want me to stay?
No, I don't think that would be a good idea. Why don't you go over to my apartment and wait? It's 48 West 74th Street, number 3. It's a walk-up.
All right.
Wait, you'll need a key. Here.
She handed me her key and left with William Sloan. I walked out of the club, grabbed a cab, and 20 minutes later I was walking upstairs to her apartment. The room was in darkness. I felt around for a light switch near the door. Then I froze. The room was still and quiet, but there was a smell in the air. A heavy, pungent odor that a gun leaves after it's been fired. The smell was cordite. I flipped the switch on and looked down at the dead body of Joe Connors, lying on his back, shot through the head.
Before we continue with Richard Diamond, Private Detective, here's an important question. How mild can a cigarette be? One sniff won't tell you. One puff won't tell you. It takes day in, day out smoking to judge the mildness of a cigarette, to see how well it gets along with your throat. Make the sensible cigarette test, the thorough cigarette test. Smoke only Camels for 30 days, and you'll know how mild Camels are. Pack after pack, week after week. Yes, for 30 days, enjoy the rich, full flavor of Camel's costly tobaccos and see just how mild a cigarette can be. In a coast-to-coast test of hundreds of people who smoked only Camels for 30 days, noted throat specialists reported not one single case of throat irritation due to smoking Camels. Make your own Camel 30-day test, the sensible test, and see for yourself why more people smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
How mild, how mild can a cigarette be? Make the Camel 30-day test, and you'll see. Smoke Camels and see.
And now back to Richard Diamond, starring Dick Powell.
Who is it?
The police.
Oh, goody.
Otis. Yeah? You're standing on my foot. Oh, sorry, Lieutenant.
Well, good evening, Lieutenant Levinson.
Who's dead, Diamond?
Right over there. Name's Joe Connors.
Shot in the head, Lieutenant.
Wow, Otis is getting brighter.
Who did it?
How do I know?
Whose apartment is this?
Mrs. Marilyn Connors.
Same name as the dead man.
No, his name's Joe.
Oh, I mean the last name. Look, meathead. Well, it is.
He's right, Walt. They were married.
What are you doing here? Me? Well, I come with you. Otis. Oh, sorry. Yeah, what are you doing here, Diamond?
Well, Marilyn Connors asked me to wait for her.
Then let's all wait.
Walt, have you noticed all the windows are locked?
So it's cold out.
Let's not wait. Let's go over to Martin Cope's nightclub.
What's Martin Cope got to do with it?
Leave Otis here until the coroner arrives. Put a tag on him so the coroner will be sure to get the right body, and I'll tell you about the whole thing on the way over to the club. Lieutenant Levinson to see you, Martin.
Oh, hello, Lieutenant.
Hi.
What are you doing here, Diamond?
He's with me, Cope. You own a gun?
What is this?
He said, do you want a gun?
Yeah, so what?
Mind if I look at it?
Okay. It's loaded.
Let's see. Been fired.
You're nuts.
Rick.
Has been.
What is this? I haven't fired that gun since I owned it.
You took it out of here with you, didn't you?
What's that to you, Diamond?
You took it out tonight, didn't you?
Don't answer that, Martin.
Now look.
Let's go down to the station.
What for?
Martin, you knew Joe Connors, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, somebody shot him.
You think
Martin, don't say any more. Well, I'm surprised at you, Sloan. You're the one who told me Martin took the gun with him.
You did?
How the devil did I know Diamond would go to the police?
What were you doing with Diamond anyway?
Marilyn hired him.
And fired him.
She hired him again tonight. He was working for her. Anything I told him was in confidence.
Murder just isn't confidential, Sloan.
Look, wait a minute. Yeah, you're right. I went out to see Joe Connors. He phoned me.
Martin.
I didn't kill him, though. Yeah, I took my gun, but I didn't use it. He was dead when I got there.
You went to Marilyn Connors' apartment?
That's right.
Well, let's all go down to the station and have ballistics check on this gun.
And in the meantime, Cope, I'm holding you on suspicion of murder. Well, here's the ballistics report, Rick. Cope's gun was the one that did the job. Slug they took out of Connors match.
Now let's talk to Marilyn Connors and Sloan again.
Why? We've got our boy.
Just want to talk to them.
Send in Miss Connors and Mr. Sloan. Now, what have you got on your mind, Rick?
Oh, I was just thinking about all the windows being locked.
So what?
You want to see us, Lieutenant?
Mr. Diamond does. Have a chair.
Mr. Diamond, I'm sorry things worked out this way.
Oh, so am I. Oh, here's your apartment key.
Thank you.
How many people have the key to your apartment, Mrs. Connors?
What? Martin has the only other one.
What time did Martin get that phone call?
Oh, about 7:30, I guess. I got to the club about 7:15. Martin usually comes in about 7:30. I met him in his office, and he got the call.
And he took the gun and left right away? It's all right. Martin has already admitted taking the gun.
Yes, he took the gun and left almost immediately.
Mm-hmm. Where were you, Sloan? At home. I got to the club just after Martin left. Marilyn told me what had happened, and I came right over to you. Oh. Well, all right. Thank you very much. That's all? Are you going to defend Mr. Cope? I doubt it. I don't think he wants me to.
Well, thank you very much. We'll be talking to you.
Goodbye, Lieutenant. Mr. Diamond. So long. You left the club about 8:15.
That's right, about 7:15.
Connors had been dead about 3 hours when I found him, Walt. I found him about 9:30.
My gosh, that's right.
And that part of your story stands up, Cope. He was dead when you got there.
What about the gun?
You always keep that gun in your desk, Cope?
Yeah.
Who was in the club with you?
All the usual people. Waiter, bartenders, busboys.
Marilyn?
Yeah. Now, wait a minute.
Who knew you kept the gun in the desk?
Oh, half a dozen people, maybe. You think somebody lifted that gun, killed Connors, and put it back in the desk?
You always come in about 7:30, don't you, Cope?
Yeah, every night.
According to the death certificate, Connors had been dead about an hour before you came in. What time did you leave the club this afternoon?
Right after you slugged me.
Oh, got up rather suddenly. It was about 4:30, wasn't it? Somebody could have gone into your office, taken that gun, killed Connors, put the gun back before you came in at 7:30.
Then I'm cleared?
No, not a bit. You have a key to Marilyn's apartment. The killer had a key to let Connors in.
Miss Connors said there were only 2 keys.
No, Walt, let's go talk to Mrs. Connors. Mrs. Connors, where were you around 7 this evening?
7?
Where were you?
Why, downtown.
You weren't in your apartment?
No.
Did you come back from downtown before going to the club?
No.
Who was in your apartment?
No one that I know of.
Have you ever given your key to anyone except Cope and, me, of course?
Yes.
Who and how long ago?
Our piano player. About a week ago.
Hello, Bernie.
Hello. Oh, hello. You're the nice man who slugged Mr. Cope this afternoon. Let me buy you a drink.
No, thanks, Bernie. This is Lieutenant Evanson.
Lieutenant?
Hi.
What time did you get to the club this evening, Bernie?
Oh, about 7:30. Why?
The cook says he saw you come in around 7:15.
15 minutes one way or the other.
Where were you at 7 o'clock, Bernie?
My house, I guess.
Bernie, we checked with the state prison. They censor letters up there.
Do they?
Mm-hmm. A man named Joe Connors got a letter 2 days ago telling him to meet someone at Mrs. Connors' apartment around 6:30 this evening.
What's this all about?
Well, we'd like to have you come down to the station for a paraffin test, Bernie.
A paraffin test?
Yeah, we can determine if anyone has shot a gun in the last 48 hours.
Oh.
When did you take Mr. Cope's gun, Bernie?
Right after he left this afternoon.
You had a duplicate key made from the one Mrs. Connors gave you several days ago?
Mm-hmm. The Green Hardware Shop, I believe, over on 64th Street.
Why'd you do it?
Oh, love, hate, lots of reasons. What difference does it make? For a week now, I've heard him talking about Joe Connors and what he might do when he got out. I saw a chance to get rid of Martin Cope, so I had the key made, wrote Joe Connors a letter, and killed him with Mr. Cope's gun.
After you killed Connors, you came back, put the gun back in the drawer. When Martin Cope came in, you called him and said you were Connors.
From my phone booth right over there.
Were you in love with Marilyn Connors?
That is an extremely earthy question that can do no good at all. Now, let's go, Lieutenant. I was getting tired of playing the piano.
Anyway, it's too bad it didn't work. Think what Marilyn Connors in for when she marries Martin Cope.
Well, speaking of Marilyn Connors, you certainly did take a lot of pains describing her attributes.
Oh, really? Well, it wasn't painful at all.
Was she really that pretty?
Pretty.
Well, I'm jealous.
Well, don't be. She had one thing that was wrong.
What was that?
She had long blonde hair that hung all the way down to the floor.
Well, that sounds beautiful.
But it was her mustache. Better sing something, huh?
I think you'd better.
What would you like?
Anything that will make up for that last remark.
I thought it was pretty clever.
Just sing.
Okay. How about this? Maybe I'm right, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm weak, and maybe I'm strong. But nevertheless, I'm in love with you. Maybe I win, and maybe I lose. Maybe I'm in for crying the blues. But nevertheless, I'm in love with you. Somehow I know at a glance the terrible chances I'm taking. Fine at the start, but left with a heart that is breaking. Maybe I live a life of regret, and maybe I'll give much more than I'll get. But nevertheless, I'm in love with you.
Oh, that's better.
Thank you.
Rick, I'll bet she really did have pretty hair.
Oh, I guess so, but she kept it all rolled up on her head.
What's the matter with that?
Oh, I like yours better.
I wear mine up.
Yeah, but I've seen you with your hair down.
Rick.
Yeah.
Rick?
Dick Powell will return in just a minute. More people smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Yes, more people smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Among the millions of Camel smokers, there are many stars whose voices are their fortunes. John Wayne, Risa Stevens, Martha Tilton are a few. They find that Camel's cool mildness gets along fine with their throats. Friends, make your own 30-day Camel mildness test and see why more people smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
How mild, how mild, how mild, how mild, how mild can a cigarette be? Make the Camel 30-day test, and you'll see. Smoke Camel.
Here's Dick Powell with a special message.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, no one deserves the appreciation of the American people more than the men and women who have served in our armed forces. The Camel people send weekly gifts of cigarettes to those servicemen and veterans who are hospitalized. This week's Camels go to Veterans Hospital, Martinsburg, West Virginia, and Coral Gables, Florida. U.S. Army Station Hospital, Camp Hood, Texas. U.S. Naval Hospital, Chelsea, Massachusetts. Now, until next week, enjoy Camel. I always do.
Tonight's adventure of Richard Diamond, starring Dick Powell, was written by Blake Edwards. Our director is Helen Mack.
Choice tobacco. Rich tobacco that's naturally flavorsome. Prince Albert is specially treated to ensure against tongue bite and crimped cut for smooth smoking. So get PA in the head.
All right, there we go. That was Richard Diamond with Dick Powell. Quite an interesting character he plays in this little episode. But anyway, it's a great character. I enjoy it. I hope you did too. It looked like everyone was having a really good time out in the chat room. So happy to have all of you here this evening. And like I said, reports of my demise were greatly exaggerated. Yes, I will be back on Friday morning over at Patriot Soapbox. Don't worry, I am all good. Just took a few days off to relax a little bit and get some stuff done with the animals and help bring Chano up a little bit and let him get his feet wet with it. So, 9 Fathoms, Mr. T, Big Ed, He Cute, R. Boyd, Oleann, Pegster 6, Deer, and let's see, anyone else before I wrap up? Red Rob, We Are Borg, love you, dear. Give your mom and dad my warmest regards. Please do not forget that. Peachy King, good to have you here. Gene Zai and Simple Man, Political Foolishness, always a pleasure, sir. Hummingbird Watcher, glad you were here. Oildale Joe, thank you. I appreciate it. And Peachy King says, I'm always repeating myself. LOL, 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 LOL. Anyway, Orion91, thank you so much for being here. Flamethrower, it is a pleasure. The Bass Doctor, Victor Quink and Cannon, Red Rob, David Melton, Paul Slack, Bike Life Incorporated, T-Man, Brenda Coleman, so wonderful to have each and every one of you here tonight. Big Ed, if you work tomorrow, be safe. Moki1, take care. Jerome Morsi, thanks for popping in. I do appreciate it. Chano, good night, brother. I will catch you in the AM. Billy Jim, you know what? I think of you, sir, every time I sit down behind this microphone and I turn on the power switch of that mixer. Thanks a lot, Billy Jim. You, sir, are a gentleman. Gene Zai, have a great evening. Point Man, always good to rock with you. We will see you all again Friday morning. I should be there around 5 a.m. with the good Lord willing and the creeks don't rise. And do not forget, Friday night will be the premiere of PCG Talk with myself and Chano. And you're going to want to buckle in, I think. It's a lot different from what you're used to. So anyway, those are the surprises. All that's coming up. We will see you very soon. Thanks for coming in. Take care, everybody, and God bless each and every one of you. And thank you so much once again for supporting Last Scout Radio and all that we try to do here. And leaving out with our new exit song via our very own Cushion On. It is the Patriot Shuffle. Shuffle on out the door, Patriots. Have a great evening. God bless.